Hey, y'all, welcome to Cross Politic Sunday Special. It's good to be with you guys. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox, I'm the water boy. And we have this candidate here for Attorney General here in Idaho, Raul Labrador, in the studio with us for the whole show. Thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
You actually came in the hot seat. You don't even know it, do you?
I know.
He never watched.
It's time for me to leave now.
He's doing it. He actually said he'd watched some shows before, and he came on.
Yeah. He didn't cancel. So
they were the only good ones you had, I think.
He's ready.
He's ready.
Okay. All
Hey,
right.
our magazine editor, we mentioned this on the Midweek Fix, but I just need to mention it one more time here on the Sunday Special. He had a baby this week, or adopted a baby this month, and is a preemie, so he's been back and forth to Boise. So you can still subscribe to the magazine and actually get this quarter's magazine.
Spring issue.
But this is probably the last week you'll be able to subscribe and get the spring issue coming out.
So capitalize on it.
Yeah.
It's on the politics of creation.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of important right now.
Yes.
You're just saying.
Yes. Like, things like male and female and, whether those things are, enduring qualities or
everlasting
not,
or immutable. There's a bunch of words to describe male and female. Secondly, I kind of just wanted to humble brag a little bit on our AR 500 corporate sponsor.
What?
They sponsored our Fort Worth show that we just did last week with Dr. Peter McCullough.
Yeah.
But with the war going on in Ukraine, some of our pastors
Can you say what you're about to say?
I'm going to say some of it, not all of it.
All right.
With the war going on in Ukraine.
Where's our lawyer? You got a lawyer?
We got, I think, the CREC has like six churches in Ukraine.
Churches in our denomination that are in Ukraine.
Yeah. And then we got some churches in Poland and so forth. Anyways, they sent them a bunch of bulletproof vests and everything, which is crazy. But really,
cool.
be able to, I connected our sponsor together, and they were able to help out a bunch of our pastors and church members in Ukraine. So pretty
Way
cool.
to go, guys. Those guys are solid.
Brag about that.
Hey, don't forget to sign up for our Fight, Laugh, Feast events.
Yeah.
Are you going to say anything about that? No, you're not going to.
No, I wasn't.
No, you don't care about the events.
Yeah, we're gonna be in Rapid City April 7th. Okay, sign up. Go to crosspoliticlibertytour.com/Liberty Tour. We're gonna be in at Rapid City on April 7th, and then in Phoenix on April 19th. Excuse me. May. Excuse me. Thank you for the correction. May 19th, and then we're gonna be in Knoxville October 6th through 8th. The Rapid City and the Knoxville events are live for purchase now.
Yeah,
so
isn't Knoxville too?
Knoxville. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
October 6th.
You said that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, just making sure.
I wasn't saying Knox.
Oh, okay.
I was saying Knoxville.
Got it.
Different.
Yeah. Hey, if you run a business or nonprofit organization that takes credit card payments, then you know all about the high fees and the headaches from payment processors. Even worse, these companies often oppose everything we stand for. Mm-hmm. That's why you need Dime Payments. Dime provides the easiest credit card and ACH processing on the market. Whether you're accepting payments for your business or online donations for your church or organization, Dime has you covered with a custom solution that's low cost, secure, honest, and simple. Don't let big tech cancel your payments, and don't fund their efforts to undermine your values. Check out our friends over at Dime today. It's like dimepayments.com or something. Is there
right now, you got to be careful about where you're putting your money at, because of whatever beast it's growing.
I mean, did you donate to a trucker?
Support you?
You might be
don't put your money in Canadian banks right now.
You might be in
take it from you.
Trouble.
Okay, so you don't know this, but we're going to play a game in the third segment.
I don't even know.
Gabe don't even know.
They didn't even tell me about this. So,
and rather than springing on you in the third segment, I'm going to give you some time to develop a thought process of how you want to go about this. And here's the game.
Or how you're not going to answer the question.
Well,
maybe.
You're saying the man's a politician?
I can give you two different answers.
As long as it doesn't sound like... anyway, we don't say that. I'll save it for the third. So here's the game. I think right now the biggest problem that we have is not Democrats. I think the biggest problem we have are rhinos. So we're going to play the game, Name the Rhinos. Now, you have been in the game long enough to know who they are.
That's interesting.
I'm going to go first, but we're going to save this for the third segment. I'm going to save it for the third segment.
So y'all got to hang around for the third segment.
So I'll go.
A rhino.
I'm going to go first when we go back to the third segment. But just to get ready, so you need a piece of paper. You can write some of these.
I may need to.
Okay,
right here.
Right here. I got it.
All right, here you go. Oh, you got one.
You can use my pad.
There's not enough room on this.
This is going to be good.
I'm waiting for that one. All right.
Senate hearings for approving President Biden's nominee for the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson, finished just this last week, with Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee creating something of a stir with her line of questions of Jackson on whether there are physical differences between men and women that are enduring, And then finally, whether she could even define what a woman is.
Supposed inherent differences are no longer accepted as a ground for race or national origin classifications. Physical differences between men and women, however, are enduring. The two sexes are not fungible. A community made up exclusively of one sex is different from a community composed of both. Do you agree with Justice Ginsburg that there are physical differences between men and women that are enduring?
Senator, respectfully, I am not familiar with that particular quote or case, so it's hard for me to comment as to whether.
All right. Time out.
Whoa.
Was that a whistle?
You blew a whistle?
Yeah, that's what that was. That's a foul on the play.
You've never played that.
I've never heard that one.
I got a few. It just depends on what's going on.
That was a foul?
That's funny.
I felt like that you just wanted to say something on that because I just feels like that, you would. I'll go first.
What are you doing, Knox?
I'm just saying, I never thought that I'd be happy for the days of RGB.
Right.
RBG. Yeah.
I agreed with her on that quote.
She's quoting Ruth Bader Ginsburg, some ruling that she had, which is brilliant, by the way.
Right. At least the definitions of how she's defining this and separating everything. And now we've moved on past where
Turns out RBG is behind the times.
Right.
Now, right?
In this particular did you ever think we'd be at a point right now that a Supreme Court nominee would be
I need the context.
Unsure about how to answer that question?
What's amazing, if you watch the clip, and it's the first time I watch it actually, because I've been traveling the state campaigning, how long it took her to actually get to the answer to the question.
Right.
Because you could see that.
Or her non-answer to the question.
Yeah, her non-answer. She just kept processing what is the right thing to do or to say here instead of what is the right answer.
Right.
What is the correct answer? She wasn't thinking about, clearly what RGB said was total common sense. It was biologically accurate. It was everything. Yeah. But she was thinking, if I say the wrong thing, then I'm going to get exposed, and the left is going to go crazy about me. So she was calculating exactly how she needed to answer or not answer the question. That's what we're at. Yeah. That's the moment of life where we're at.
It's nuts.
All right, so round two.
Keep going.
I'd love to get your opinion on that, and you can submit that. Do you interpret Justice Ginsburg's meaning of men and women as male and female?
Again, because I don't know the case, I don't know how I interpret it. I need to read the whole thing.
I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I'm good. You've got everything to say.
No, men, she's asking her, would you interpret her use of men and women as male and female? What?
Did she go to Harvard or Princeton? Which Ivy League school did she graduate from?
And then
Harvard.
It was Harvard.
Was it Harvard? Was it Harvard?
Harvard Law.
Yeah.
Same as
this is the product of our Ivy League schools.
I'd have to read the case to know.
Yeah.
If men and women is referring to male and female, I wouldn't know.
I like Pastor Wilson's quote where he's like, "We've done 40 decades of sex education in public schools, and now we don't know anything about how to define what male and female is." This is what sex education has done for us in our public schools.
Okay, let her finish.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Let it hang.
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
The meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the law and I decide.
Yeah, you got you need like a bigger whistle.
I don't think that whistle's big enough.
That was pretty pathetic.
I tapped it a bunch of times.
I went like a buzzer. The game is over.
Does it bother you that somebody who is potentially going to be in the Supreme Court cannot answer this question?
Absolutely. In fact, I saw something online just this morning that made total sense. If you think about it, 3,000 years from now, if we're still around, if our Lord and Savior hasn't come back yet, when somebody's trying to look at bones and they try to determine the sex of an individual, they're not going to determine it by what they think they were. They're going to determine it by what the DNA and the science says.
Right.
It's not a hard question. Right. It's not. We can be compassionate of people that are having issues in their lives, but there's not a hard question about what science tells us what a male and a female are.
Right. I think I actually agree with you what you were saying even earlier too. She knows the right answer.
She does.
This is not a question about
there's
her.
like a red dot going like this.
Yeah, and that's why she's waiting.
It's from some liberal up in the balcony.
Yeah. I think so.
Careful.
And I think the evidence of that is this next clip.
Well, hold on.
Because go ahead.
No, but before you get to the clip.
Yeah.
I mean, the bummer thing is that, Senator Blackburn, credit where credit's due. I'm grateful that she actually went down this.
She asked that question.
She asked these questions.
Kudos.
Good on her and kudos. And yet I was so bummed that she stopped here.
Yeah.
I think there was more to go.
She could have pushed her so easily.
Well,
who are you then?
Right. Are you a woman?
Like, that's so easy.
Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson, are you a woman? Was Rachel Bader Ginsburg a woman? How do you know?
Is your daughter a woman who's sitting behind you?
Yeah.
Or just ask her too, leading up to that is, are you black? Could you define black for me?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Because
there's so many ways. This is where conservatives lose me.
Yeah.
Is they do a good job asking questions, but then they can't follow the logical. They don't have the logical ability to like push them further on it. Sometimes Ted Cruz can.
Right.
Sometimes some of them can do a little bit, but they're missing like the big easy E on the eye chart where to push her.
Right. To drill down just a little bit more.
Just a little more.
But again, I think you're right. There's a missed opportunity here. I think a lot of times I actually saw it a lot with the questioning with Ketanji Jackson. Yeah, I did. There's a lot. But the main thing is that when I saw this clip, what precedes this moment is she's talking to Feinstein.
Yeah, right there on the screen.
Yeah,
right there on the screen.
So this is in the earlier part of the day. She talks to Feinstein, and then this happens.
What are your thoughts on what it means for our country to have women serve in meaningful numbers on the federal bench, and in particular,
I don't know. I'm not a biologist.
To have 4 women serving on the Supreme Court for the first time in history.
Thank you, Senator. I think it's extremely meaningful. One of the things that having diverse members of the court does is it provides for the opportunity for role models. Since I was nominated to this position, I have received so many notes and letters and photos from little girls around the country.
Women?
Girls.
Who tell me that they are so excited for this opportunity and that they have thought about the law in new ways. Because I am a woman, because I am a black woman.
What?
All of those things.
How does she know that?
People have said have been really meaningful to them.
So so she goes on. She even says the fact she says she's a woman again and she's a black woman and how important it is. But I just thought it was interesting that early in the day, when you don't have to define what a woman is, you have no problem talking about yourself and the importance of it. Because if it was just about being black, then Clarence Thomas has it fixed. We got that.
Yeah, we got the diversity on there.
It's not a historic moment.
Right. And she would be able to define that. Mm-hmm. But when it comes, so the definitions actually are a problem because they are telling you where you're directed towards. Right. And that's what she can't lock in because
they limit you.
LGBTQ, IA, whatever you want to call them. Don't forget the plus because the P is silent. We know what's coming next. Right? They won't let her answer that because she is going to be ruling towards their type of legislation. And she'll bust herself out.
Exactly. And this is where it would have been great if Blackburn had just said, but just earlier, you were celebrating, saying it was a historic moment that a woman, a black woman is you know, that it's meaningful, that there would never be 4 women on the Supreme Court, all these little girls. What's a little girl? That you're a role model? A role model of what?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah.
You can't even define yourself.
If everything's the same, then there's no distinction and there isn't in beauty. You know? Yeah. I know you haven't been able to watch some of the the hearings. And some of it kind of felt trials.
Although I'd say the Republicans didn't do any rape allegations on her,
Yeah.
like Kavanaugh,
Well, or her. Yeah. Anyway, do you think that we can trust any Republican that would vote for her after all that we've seen in this whole situation? With some of the clips that you have?
I mean, it's hard to judge what the Republicans are judging her on, but the reality is that I don't think any Republican, except for maybe one or two, are going to vote for her.
Yeah.
I think the majority leader even just said, who usually votes for all the judges, said that he was going to vote against her.
Mitch McConnell
said. So I think her record is really poor on certain issues. She does have a compelling story, and you do have to admit, seeing it is a historic occasion because she is a black woman, and anyone can see that she is a black woman. And I think that's a good thing for our nation. I think it's unfortunate that they actually slowed down. We had a conservative black woman that was going to be appointed to the Court of Appeals, and
Biden against it. Biden was against her too.
They filibustered her. Now they're trying to attack all these Republicans for just asking normal questions.
Right.
They actually filibustered her because they knew that she was a powerful, strong conservative woman, and that she was going to be a great credit to this nation. And it took a long time to get her on the court because of the Democrats. So this is historic, but she should have been in line she should have been the first African-American woman on the court, and she's a powerful, powerful conservative.
Could you vote for KJB?
Oh, no.
Or KBJ?
No.
KBJ. RGB. KBJ.
All of this is so ironic given the fact that Biden, announced that he was going to be selecting
a black woman
as his nominee
that she can't even define.
And what can you define a woman for us?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I think this goes back to the point that both of you made, is that she knows the answer. She knows she can't say the answer. She's being held hostage. Yeah. There's the red dot. You can't see it, but it's there. Yeah. Is be careful what you say. Be careful what you say if you say the wrong thing. And I think this is going to actually connect with what we talk about third segment when we talk about rhinos, because I think there's a lot of things going on in Republican circles.
Yeah, they're being held hostage.
Republicans are held hostage and not allowed to tell the truth.
I'm starting to figure out the third segment.
No, you don't know.
There's no names on the list yet. You must have them all up in here. All right, we're going to talk about the Idaho abortion bill. 30 days it goes into play. We're going to talk about that next on Cross Politics.
Home. It's where you build your legacy, where traditions are started, seeds are planted, meals are shared, and stories are told. We are Chris and Natalie Carpenter, owners of Story Real Estate, and our team of top agents helps people find homes in Moscow, Idaho, and around the country.
Have you thought about a move? Contact us to get connected with a top agent who shares your values and puts your family first. Or reach out to us about our Moscow relocation guide.
Wherever you're looking to go, we can help you find home. Call us at Story Real Estate or visit us at storyrealestate.com and start building your legacy.
I think I'm starting to figure out the third segment.
Good, because you're kind of in it.
I'm kind of in it. I am kind of in it. So when we went through show prep yesterday, I had to leave early, and they planned out everything without me. And then I got here and hey, let's tell them about segment 1 and 2, what we're going to do, but not the third segment. So me and Raul are going to be on fire third segment. I'm just telling you right now.
It's only fair because you do this to us all the time.
Tell people the truth.
It's true.
You can't handle the truth.
True.
Not so long ago, the American dream was alive and well. Employees who worked hard were rewarded, and employers looked for people who could, get this, do the job.
This ad is so simple.
Not for people who had the right political views. Redballoon.work or redballoon.work
FLF
for the Fight Laugh Feast is a job site designed to get us back to what made American businesses successful. Free speech, hard work, and having fun. If you're a free speech employer who wants to hire employees who focus on their work and not identity politics, then post a job on redballoon.work. If you're an employee who's being censored at work or is being forced to comply with the current zeitgeist, post your resume on redballoon.work and look for a new job. www.redballoon.work/FLF, the job site where free speech is still alive. Redballoon.work.
I just want to say, if I was reading this ad or we were playing this ad on our show before 2020, I'd be like, this is a stupid ad.
No one's going to go
This is a dumb ad.
And you're like, and then 2020.
And then 2020, hold my beer kind of thing. And, but God has made it so easy to be a successful company these days.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the video game that Andrew told us about?
Landmines.
Landmines.com.
Pronounlandmine.com is
Landmines.
Landmines. Okay, it's put out by redballoon.work, and you can just play a little
video game and mispronouns. Don't get exploded by the pronouns.
That's right. Raised by a single parent, Raul worked his way through college, earned a law degree, worked in our courts, served in criminal division of United States Attorney's Office, and went on to build a successful business right here in Idaho. What was that business?
So I had a law firm, and we currently have another business, which is a cabinet refinishing business.
Nice. Yeah. He was elected to the Idaho House, where he stopped job-killing taxes. In Congress, he became a national leader, co-founding the Freedom Caucus.
Actually, that was like Rand Paul and those guys, wasn't it? Yeah.
It's with Ron DeSantis, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, good conservatives. In the
Mike Lee. Mike Lee was part of it?
Mike Lee was in the Senate, so we were the Freedom Caucus in the House.
And
we would work with Rand Paul and Mike Lee in the Senate. They would come over to the House and work with us.
Taking on liberal special interests to protect constitutional liberty, build a stronger economy, ensure our safety and security while preserving Idaho conservative values. Raul's a family man. He lives in Eagle, Idaho with his wife, Rebecca. They're the proud parents of 5 kids and 2 grandkids.
Hey.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Raul, thanks for coming on Cross Politics.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. And you didn't leave after the first segment.
No, he
I'll
stuck
leave
around.
after this one.
The third segment. He doesn't want to be around for the third segment.
Just leave your list.
Heard about the game. So you are running for Idaho Attorney General. Why Attorney General? You've served in a number of different capacities politically, both in Washington, D.C. and in Boise. Why Attorney General, and what's your agenda? I mean, what do you hope to accomplish in that role?
Great question. So we have an Attorney General right now that's been in office for 20 years.
Yeah.
And not
He's
only has he been
sack of water and Jello and
those are your words, not mine. He's been in office for 20 years, but before that, he was 10 years a deputy in the office. So he's been in that office for 30 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's really important to know about him. And he will tell you, I wish I was exaggerating this, but he will tell you that his job is to defend the bureaucracy of Idaho.
No.
Really? He will actually say this publicly on the debate stage. Anywhere we meet together, he says his job is to defend the governor, the bureaucracy, and the government.
Not the people. Not the people.
What is his name?
You can say it.
Lawrence Wasden.
Lawrence Wasden. Wasden. Okay, so he's the current
Attorney General.
Lifer Attorney General. 30 years.
And he's just become a career bureaucrat. In fact, just a couple of days ago, I was talking to somebody who went to law school with him. He went to law school here in this city.
Yeah.
And his friend came up to me and said, "I'm voting for you, Raul." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because I went to law school with Lawrence Wasden." I said, "Oh, that's interesting." And he told me all the different reasons. And I asked him a simple question. Do you think he's changed? Has he always been the way he is right now, or has he changed? He said, "No, man, he really has changed." And I asked him why, and he said because he's been in office too long, that he has just become just a creature of the bureaucracy.
So just to protect his job, basically.
Yeah, now he's
position.
protecting himself and the people he works with instead of what I think the Attorney General should be doing, which is defending the rights of the people of Idaho.
So real quick, how does that charge not stick to you? You've been a legislator here in Idaho. You've been a congressman. You ran for governor. So how does that kind of that lifelong politicianness not stick on you?
Thank you for the question. That's actually a great question.
Yeah, I thought so.
So actually, it's not that good.
Oh, now you adjusted.
I was trying to give you some praise, and then you took it to the next
so I took it. And you're like, I'm taking it away from you. That's fair. That's fair. All right. Stay around for the third segment.
He's getting good. Sorry. He's getting good. We're gonna have to.
So it's a simple. There was a story written about me about my third term in Washington, D.C. So I had already been in politics for about 10 years almost.
Okay.
And the Idaho Statesman was funny. They were trying to attack me, and they talked about all the things I had done in Washington. And then there was this great line that said, he's been in Washington all these years, and Washington hasn't changed him. They meant it as an insult, but I took that as a tagline.
Yeah.
That I've been in politics for a long time. I'm very seasoned in what I do, but I haven't allowed Washington or politics to change me. I'm still the same guy that was a Tea Party guy, 10 years ago. I was a Tea Partier before the Tea Party started. I was an America First guy before America First movement started. All these things are things that I actually believe in innately. And I have always not just done things and said things that are conservative, but I have done things that are conservative. So you look at my entire record and you can see that I have never deviated from the path.
Okay. So when you talk about that he's defending bureaucracy and not the people, what are the things that the people need defending that he isn't defending?
So let me give you a few examples.
Yeah,
please.
If you think about right now, we're almost at 2 years of a pandemic, right? At 2 years of
emergency
powers of the governor. If you guys know this really well, that the emergency powers of the governor should only be 30 days.
30 days and then
that
30.
can be extended for another 30 days.
Yes, sir.
Why do you think we're almost at 2 years of the emergency powers?
Because the Attorney General didn't defend the people.
The Attorney General told him that he could interpret the statutes to mean that 30 plus 30 meant 30 plus 30 plus 30
plus 30.
We were in a debate a couple of weeks ago, and I said that to the audience, and you know how he justified it? He said that his job as the Attorney General is to find the legal argument that will justify whatever the governor is doing.
Whoa!
That was his answer. I mean, it's actually one of the, frankly, one of the best races I've had, because usually when I'm running for whatever office, everyone on the stage always says, "Oh, I'm just as conservative as Raul." Yeah. They say all these things, and I'm like, "No, you're not.
He's just swallowing all the camels,
exactly. But this time, he's actually saying, "No, I am different than Raul, and I believe differently than," and he does. Yeah. He sees his job totally differently. I'll give you a second example. We have a family in North Idaho that bought a large piece of land. The EPA came in and told them that they needed to have their land subject to the waters of the USA, to the Clean Water Act.
Yep. This has been going on for a decade.
It's been going on for a decade.
While Lawrence has been an Attorney General for all this time. Okay.
This family fought the EPA at the Supreme Court level. They went all the way up to the Supreme Court. There were numerous Republican attorneys general that joined the family in the fight. I, as a member of Congress, joined the family in the fight. Guess who was missing from that fight?
Lawrence. Our
own Attorney General didn't join them because he didn't think that was his job, but it gets better than that. They won at the Supreme Court level because the Supreme Court, the EPA tried to say that they didn't have jurisdiction, that they didn't have standing to sue. Yeah. The Supreme Court said they did have standing, so they went back to the lower court. At the lower court level, they fought. They went all the way to the Supreme Court. Right now, they're before the Supreme Court for a second time.
Wow.
23 Republican attorneys general are joining this family. Who's missing from that fight?
Oh, my goodness.
Our own Attorney General. Yep. But the best part is that 2 weeks ago, we were on the debate stage, and I used this example, and he said, "Well, I'm going to join them now." So he's either absent or late to every single fight that is important to the people of Idaho.
Jello!
Wow.
So would you have kept us in, would you even allow the governor to do an emergency order setup in the particular situation?
So that's a great question. In the beginning, yes, because we didn't know what the heck was happening. Everybody thought they were going to die, all these different things. And the legislature, because this is clear, the legislature has given the governor this authority. And I'm just going to use a different example. If we have a dam break tomorrow, the governor doesn't have time to call the legislature into session and try to decide, what am I going to do? He needs to have the power to act. That's why we have an emergency order, emergency statute. I would have said you have 30 days, and you have 30 days to extend it. Anything you want to do after that 60-day period, you have to call the legislature into session, and you need to decide together what you do.
But here's what that's done to me, though, is I don't want the governor to have emergency powers anymore. Let the dam break at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because of how everything's been abused so bad. Mm-hmm. It's and then we got a bunch of legislators and senators who won't call themselves back into session because they don't think it's legal. That's another issue.
And that was where do you come on fight, that? Where I told the legislators that the fight on whether they have the power to call themselves into session, I think is 50-50. I can make the argument that they did, but I think it's 50-50. But the issue is not whether they had to call themselves into session, it's whether the governor should have called them into session. And I think the separation of powers doctrine required the governor to call them into session after the 60 days. Yeah. The other issue, what you're concerned about, I actually think that was an overreach on the governor. governor's part. Even under the original emergency order, there's nothing in the emergency statute that allows him to close down churches, close down businesses, close down schools.
Colton. Me and Colton were on that lawsuit.
Yeah, so those were actually outside of his constitutional powers, and I would have told him that.
Well, and also our own code said that the governor couldn't quarantine. I'm taking this.
He just thinks this is his show. It's like, hi,
that the governor.
It's good having you guys here.
That's right. That's right. That the governor can't quarantine the healthy.
Yes.
So he actually quarantined the whole state illegally.
No, there were things that he did illegally, even outside of the powers that he already had. Yeah. But a good attorney general, that's why I think this is the most important race in the entire state. Because we don't know who's going to win the governor's race, right? And right now,
if you would step up and here, let me write down the rhino. First rhino for you, Little. Okay. And then you can.
I don't want your list.
Endorse McGeehan. All right. There we go. I wrote it down right here. I'm just kidding.
So we don't know who's going to win that race, but having a strong attorney general in that office that will actually check on the powers of the executive, because the job of the attorney general, in my opinion, is to check on the powers on any overreach, not just at the state level, but also at the federal level, going after the Biden administration when they do things that they shouldn't be doing, and ensuring that our government is not violating the people's rights.
If you're the attorney general back in 2020, and Little goes to extend it, he's had his 30 and he's had his 30. Although he's locked down churches and businesses and quarantined the healthy, what are you doing in that position? For the Idaho
This
people.
is where I think it's important to have a strong person in the office, because right now he knows he has a yes man, and he knows he's going to get whatever answer he wants. He's going to be much more careful when he has a strong person. I have a strong personality. Yeah. I'm a strong person. I don't have to yell and scream. Some conservatives think that they have to be yelling and screaming all the time.
Like Gabe. Gabe thinks he has to yell and scream
I know, and I get tired
all
of
the time.
It's exhausting.
I know. It makes me tired. I can't imagine what it's doing for him. But the reality is that you can actually be soft-spoken. Yeah. And you can talk to people, because when you talk with reason and you talk with the force of law, you can make a huge impact. So
is that why we can't talk with Democrats anymore? Because there's just no reason there. Absolutely. I mean, like, seriously, huh?
Absolutely.
Like a man can't even man's a woman, a woman's a man.
So you saw it.
You
can talk like this, Governor Little.
I do everything.
I'm not going to allow you to extend
the emergency powers.
Thank you.
There's a horse we're eating at your house.
Keep going.
All right. Governor Brad Little just signed Bill 1309, a heartbeat law, protecting babies as young as 6 weeks from abortion, allowing family members to sue abortionists for civil damages, kind of copying the Texas attack. Governor Little expressed concerns the law is unconstitutional in his signing statement.
So he signs it, and then he says it's unconstitutional.
What can you tell us about the law and any comments you have on his signing statement?
So first, he wrote a brief for the ACLU so they can use it, use it in the court, which is a mistake. But he did that because the Attorney General of the state of Idaho actually wrote that in an opinion.
You shut
this
up.
law, no, okay.
No, I mean, please,
don't. Shut up and talk.
So the Attorney General of the state of Idaho actually wrote in an opinion, one of his deputies wrote in an opinion that this law is unconstitutional, and didn't take into consideration that a similar law is already before the Supreme Court. Everyone has argued that every conservative legal scholar understands that either Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned, or probably more closely to what I think, that it's going to be narrowed.
We're going to split the baby.
I don't want to say it that way.
The reality is what's going to happen.
I think that's what they're going to do. They're just going to narrow, and they're going to find this law to be constitutional for
Mississippi. The Mississippi law.
Correct. So for them to say that this law is unconstitutional and not take into account what all the legal conservative arguments are, the briefs that were presented to the U.S. Supreme Court, the many arguments that there are for this law to be constitutional, they keep writing these briefs, these opinions that give the left. That's why I joke that we're just writing the memos for the ACLU. We're writing the legal briefs on the transgender issue, the law that passed a couple of years ago.
Yes.
The Attorney General filed an opinion saying that it was unconstitutional. I mean, it's the picture of that famous picture now that we saw of the female swimmers next to the transgender swimmer.
Yeah.
I mean, that picture tells it a million words, right?
Yeah.
And he said that transgender swimmer has an equal protection right to participate in female sports.
He would have been a great Jim Crow attorney general.
You
know?
Yeah. It's all about the establishment. It's just whatever the establishment was, whatever the bureaucracy was.
Knox still would have been drinking a different water fountain than me under Lawrence Watson, under Jim Crow laws.
No, it's amazing what he's saying. And he keeps writing these. And then he uses the excuse that his job is just to call balls and strikes. And I'm like, no, that's the job of a judge.
Right.
Well, you see the balls on that swimmer.
Yeah.
I mean, call them. Hey, I got a laugh out of the audience on that one. That was good.
Gabe,
We're trying to get him to stay for the third segment, Gabe.
he's being held hostage. So
what is your take on? I'm sorry.
No.
I'm hogging too.
No, that's okay. We got to go. But
can I just ask
we can save it for the third segment. We'll come back in with the third segment because I'm gonna give you a chance to think about this one too, along with the rhinos. How does somebody like this keep getting elected in Idaho?
Yeah.
In Idaho.
This goes right to the rhino question. All right, more cross politics coming up next. We're about to find out who all the rhinos are in Idaho and abroad. I'm gonna name the abroad ones. You're gonna name the ones in Idaho because I ain't been here long enough. More cross politics coming up next.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations. Our most precious commodity is time. No one has ever lied on their deathbed wishing they had spent more time making money. They all wish they had spent more time creating a legacy. Our modern education system steals that legacy, steals that time from our children. That's why I'm passionate about homeschooling. That's why at Classical Conversations we want to give you more time to create that legacy, follow your passions, and glorify God. Visit classicalconversations.com for more information.
Yeah.
Hold on.
He's gonna need a lot more water for this.
He
one.
get water still. Hand it to him.
Oh,
We're live.
Just doing it.
Just bring
We're
a
live.
pitcher in here and just.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Cross Politic, where we're getting Raul Labrador water right now. No, really, we are. Like he's
thirsty.
He's thirsty.
I'm stressing him out actually right now.
This is gonna be a long list.
I just wonder what's coming out of your mouth.
Raul Labrador is running for Attorney General in the state of Idaho, so get ready to vote for him. When is the elections?
May 17th.
May 17th.
But early voting starts here in a week or two, and people just need to get out there and vote. I mean, we feel really good about this race. We just got a poll back about a week ago. We're ahead by double digits. But, this is Idaho, and the establishment is going to come against me. They're going to be fighting me. They're going to spend money trying to make sure that I don't win. So we need the voters to vote. We need people to donate to the campaign. They can go to our website, Labrador2022.com. Labrador2022.
Go ahead. The water's here. Here we go.
Thank you.
Now that Raul's got water, Classical Conversation supports homeschooling parents by cultivating the love of learning through a Christian worldview in fellowship with other families. Classical Conversations provides a classical, Christ-centered curriculum with local, like-minded communities across the United States, actually in several countries as well, and they train parents who are striving to be great classical educators in the home. For more information and to get connected, please visit their website at classicalconversations.com. Classical, Christian, get connected, get community, classicalconversations.com.
Anybody want any Jameson?
Oh, really?
It's third segment.
Classical Conversations is the sponsor. I don't know about
Jameson.
Jameson.
I'm saying if you want some.
Well, we got some. Jameson ain't sponsoring this segment.
All right. No, hey, Toby, you want some Jameson?
So we ended
You ready for this game?
Well, yes, but before I have to, there's two things. If you're smart, you never ask a politician two questions at the same time because you won't get two answers. Right. See how I framed you in like that?
You're stuck.
But one question is, how is it that who would you like to serve as Attorney General as far as governor? Like if you're Attorney General, what governor would be best for you? And the second question is, how in the world does Lawrence get elected for 20 years running?
In Idaho.
So I'm going to answer your third question. No.
The rhinos? Okay.
No, the second question is easy, is that, frankly, he has been such a lackluster attorney general that no one has really wanted to run against him that has any opportunity to run and to win. He's never really had a strong opponent. He's had a couple of people run against him who were really good, would have been great attorneys general, but they didn't have a strong campaign because no one's really, frankly, until 2 years ago, I hadn't even thought about running for attorney general.
Right.
I just started watching what was happening here under the pandemic.
Right.
I started getting calls. I have 2 friends that are current attorneys general in their states that I serve with in Congress, and they were calling me and they were saying, your attorney general needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
He's not joining us in all the federal fights that we're having.
Right.
And that's the first time I really started thinking about it. So I think for some reason, because he has been so under the radar, no one really strong was thinking about running against him.
2020 did that for so many things.
It woke so many people
It was the
up.
first time where it's like, who are my city council members? Who's my mayor? Who are my representatives? Who's my state?
Right.
That was, in some ways, that's part of the gift of God to us, is that we were suddenly forced to wake up and say, okay, we have these representatives who represent us. And wake up, people.
Absolutely.
And so then the first question.
There was a first question? No. Yes. I'm not going to answer that question. I have said that I'm not endorsing anybody in the race because I have good friends that are running. I have 3 good friends that are running.
So we got some good candidates up there.
We have good candidates. Just people need to understand, what do they want? Do they want business as usual, or do they want to change? And they really need to pick the person that's most likely to win in that race. That's going to be a tough race, really, because the current governor has done a good job of telling a good yarn. Let's just put it that way. And people need to go out there and see if they're okay with the things that are happening.
Just remember that the current governor has us still under an emergency order.
Until
Right now.
is it ending next
April
month?
15th.
Yeah, April 15th. So I was right.
Okay, so I think it was like the last 2 weeks. It was the 16th that Dave Rubin came out with his sodomite Mirage partner and said that they were.
Tell us what you really think.
Yeah, I'm just telling you.
All right.
That they were going to have babies.
Expecting.
Well, I mean, they
showed a picture of
ultrasound pictures.
Yeah.
Now,
did you see this picture? No.
Okay.
Do you know who Dave Rubin is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so now, what was interesting wasn't that, because I expected pagans to act like pagans.
Yeah.
That's not too surprising for me.
Pete Buttigieg did it with.
Pete Buttigieg did it. So and everybody kind of.
Conservatives lit him up.
Yeah.
Pete Buttigieg, because he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
But what was surprising, and this is me naming my first rhino, what's surprising was the conservative folks that came out and supported this.
Yeah.
And it was a lot.
Saying, Dave, you're going to be a great dad.
And so my first person on the list of rhinos is PragerU.
PragerU.
Because, and here's why.
And they do some good stuff.
And I appreciate them so much. But we just got done talking about a male swimmer who is taking the spot of women and is abusing women by dominating them so badly in this sport. And it's not going to end here. And we want to come out and say, hey, women are a special part of humanity that needs to be protected.
Isn't it special that there's so many women?
Right. And we just got done praising a black woman for being being the nominee of the Supreme Court. And so women are important.
Right.
And then conservatives come out here and praise Dave Rubin, who is excommunicado a woman from the relationship of being raised in a house with a husband and a wife.
He and his gay lover, man boy, hired 3 concubines.
That's right.
The whole setup's crazy. They got eggs from one woman, and then they inseminated those eggs in the lab.
It's pure eugenics.
And then they pregnated 2 hosts, basically.
But before that, they were flipping through an online catalog. They actually said this on the video. I'm not making this up. Dave Rubin actually says on the video, he says you can look and see what kind of woman you want to take the eggs from. And they're young,
green eyes,
and they're pretty,
brown hair, blonde hair.
See what they look like, and where they went to school, and how educated. Like, that's eugenics.
Oof.
That's eugenics. And
the thing that Hitler was doing.
Yeah, right. Like, and then they hire 2 wombs.
Yeah.
They take the eggs from
concubine wombs. Let's call them concubine wombs.
Concubine wombs, that they're now having these 2 fertilized eggs. We don't know what happened to the other fertilized eggs.
Yeah.
Babies. Right. Were they just dumped it in the trash or frozen or what?
Yeah.
But people don't see, the conservatives don't see that these 2 men, not only are they doing something that's sinful,
right,
in God's sight, But now they're. I showed part of a video of this. Pastor Doug did a response to this.
Yeah, he did good. Yeah,
showed it to my family last night, and my 17-year-old son, senior in high school, said that man, talking about Dave Rubin, should be in jail.
Ooh, why?
He should be in jail because he's buying and selling babies. Mm-hmm. He's buying and selling women. I mean, it's prostitution in a weird kind of eugenics way. It's buying and selling people, and not to mention the fact that he's in the process of those two guys are going to raise two boys or children. We don't know them
with no mother.
With no mother. Yeah. On purpose. Now, sometimes it happens providentially. A mom dies,
and conservatives are praising him for it.
But we would call that child abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to raise these kids on purpose with no mom.
Yeah.
Where's the mom?
Yeah. They completely removed her from the equation as if the very value, okay. So I'll say mine. I'm
just going to add the Blaze to this too.
Wait, don't take all mine. I got
okay,
a
list.
list.
I didn't say that. Take that back.
Doggone it. Okay, so I got
PragerU, Rhino, number one.
Your list. Yo, you stay in Idaho.
You can just stay in Idaho. Keep it simple.
So I don't name Rhino. I don't even like the name Rhino. I like to call people liberal Republicans, moderate Republicans, and conservative Republicans.
Sure.
I think anybody who wants to be a Republican should be a Republican. I want to welcome people. I do, but I don't mind saying that somebody's liberal because I just don't like the term Rhino.
Well, if we don't, we need definitions though.
No, that's why I say liberal.
So what's so give us an example of a liberal Republican.
I don't name people like that. I just don't go around calling. There's plenty of liberal Republicans in the state of Idaho, and what you need to do is you need to look at their records. It's really simple. It's the person who comes to you and campaigns at your door and says that they're going to do all these conservative things, and they go back to the legislature, or they go back to the city council, or they go back to Congress, and they do the opposite of what they're saying.
And who would be an example of that?
There's a lot of people like that.
just wondering if you happen to run into it.
He's like, I'm not going to define what a woman is, but there's a lot of women out there.
I actually defined them. I just didn't name them.
So now you can jump into the Blaze. So I'll come back now. I'm gonna come back to you again. You can say the same thing again if you want to.
Well, I mean, Dave Rubin's on the Blaze.
Yeah.
Right.
He has more ownership on the Blaze than Glenn Beck does.
What?
Dave Rubin. When we were down in Fort Worth with Chad Prather. That's what Chad Prather told me.
Man.
So
Chad Prather's on the Blaze.
Yep.
So and I want to
he
say
came out. He released a statement.
Yeah.
It was aight.
But so did Allie Beth Stuckey. She came out.
You mentioned she did like a 15-minute video on this.
She did a 16-minute video on it, and I thought the video was phenomenal. The video was really good. She did a great job laying out 4 parts of why she can't support her friend Dave Rubin.
Congratulate
him. But then in the first minute and 11 seconds of the video, she says, "I'm sure that my friend Dave Rubin and his husband will make good fathers."
Ouch.
So she doesn't make my list because I know her, but that right there, though, is still a problem of what you're... Listen, I think I kind of need a little time to go through this because we have to step back for a second and look what just happened in the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Because I think it's providential. You need to step back and look. We had William Thomas, who is racing against women in the swimming pool.
Leah Tom. Is it
William Thomas, who is...
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We are dead naming. That's what we're doing.
Naming.
And so, who is racing against women in the pool that we are all sitting here saying...
In a leotard.
You shouldn't do that. You're taking the spot of other women.
All the conserves are all over it. Sharing the picture. There's the dude in the swimsuit, and there's the girls.
Right. And we are very bad, taking the spot of women.
Right.
Then you come up here right after that, March 16th, you have Rubin, who comes out here with this announcement.
That's a really good point.
And then right after that, and then conservatives.
And PragerU says, congratulations.
Megyn Kelly.
Congratulations.
PragerU,
Congratulations.
Blaze Daily Wire. They've been
Daily Wire. Who at the Daily Wire?
Candace Owens. She knows how to hit it up.
A couple of their guys did.
But it's been
one of their new girls did.
Wow.
And,
it's a quiet. Nobody's saying anything. And then you have Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Right.
And everybody,
can you please define a woman?
Flips out over the idea that she can't define what a woman is.
Yeah.
Well,
this is why conservatives can't have nice things.
But here's the deal: if you are willing, guys, we will sit up here the whole time and we will say the problem with black culture is that their men don't stay married to their women. Right. Every one of these guys I'm talking about have made this a huge case.
Right.
Black family, the destruction and demolishment of the black family has been a horrible economic reality.
Well, and that issue is what converted Dave Rubin to be conservative with Larry
Elder did that.
That's right.
And and we will jump up and down on the structure of the black family being something that erodes the foundation of culture and life in America.
And economy.
And to the black culture itself, right?
Right.
So we will jump up and down on that and say, husbands, men need to stay married to their wives and raise their kids.
Right.
Then you get Dave Rubin coming in here.
And Dave Rubin converted on that issue to conservatism.
And then we will say, okay, wait a second. If it's important that men marry women and women be a part of the process of raising children for the betterment of the culture, then how do you support Dave Rubin, who is moving a woman completely out of the context of
just using them,
the family,
just buying them?
The nuclear family, what it is then not valuable ultimately. How do we have any conviction to make any moral equity to make a judgment about the black family if we're going to praise what we saw in Rubin?
Right.
Interesting.
It doesn't make any sense.
That's a great point, Knox.
No.
So since this is the third segment, and
Raul's ready to run out the door right now.
So I'm voting for you. Lincoln's my friend. I've followed you. I voted for you when you were a congressman. I don't think I couldn't vote for you when legislator because you were down south. But I think some of your reasoning bothers me a little bit it's to me it's part of the problem with Republican politics, where we want to be nice. I understand that. We don't want to name names, because either they're friends or you don't want maybe someone who would vote for you would also vote for this other, liberal, conservative, stuff like that. And I understand that we need to be wise and prudent and all these things, but I think conservatives have been playing the wrong game for decades, which is why Idaho's where it's at.
And I disagree with you.
That's fine.
I disagree. I think conservatives have been playing the wrong game because they think that screaming and yelling is the way to get people to their side. And the reality is that
then come Trump.
Yeah, but Trump is unique. You cannot be Trump. Everybody makes the argument that Trump did something. Trump had 99% name ID. When everyone in the world knew who Trump was. Yeah. And he had a 99% positive rating. He had a lot of room to lose some of that positivity. The rest of us don't have that. We don't have that name ID. You cannot use Trump as an example. I think Trump, where he should be an example to all of us, is that what I love about Trump more than anything is that he said what
But you aren't doing it.
No, he did what he said he was going to do.
Okay, so
he did.
But I'm trying to figure out which Republicans are you talking about that are running around here screaming and yelling?
Yeah.
No, when you look at conservatives who are trying to get elected, they raise their voices. They call people names.
Man, I'm not seeing any of that. I'm not seeing that.
I see it all the time. They call people rhinos, and what you end up
because they are.
But what you end up doing, in my opinion, and I could be wrong about this, but in my opinion, what you end up doing is you're alienating the people that we need to bring to our side. We need to be more persuasive.
So do you think that what we just talked about with Dave Rubin and his situation is alienating people and taking away from our side?
That's a different issue. That's a moral issue that you can have a good discussion about. But when you go around saying that person's a rhino, that person's a rhino, that person's a rhino, there's a few people in the audience that are persuadable, that would come to our side because they like the
name calling or something.
They like the ideas that we stand for, but they don't like the name calling.
So what's the difference between calling somebody a rhino and a liberal Republican?
Because that's descriptive, and I can tell you why they're liberal. I can tell you the things that they're doing that are liberal.
What makes a Republican?
What makes a Republican? A Republican is a person who believes in the principles of the Republican Party. We have a platform in the state of Idaho. The platform outlines things that I agree with and that I'm willing to abide by. And when you have a Republican who either is not willing to sign that pledge or who signs the pledge and says that doesn't do it, then they're a liberal Republican.
So then that would be the same thing as saying they're Republican, but then in name only.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just don't like. It's just.
Is it a pejorative? Is it like? Does it come off as pejorative or something?
I don't want to get into an argument about it.
No. I'm trying to understand.
For me, it doesn't work.
Right.
For me, if I'm speaking to an audience, because what we need to understand is that there's people that are persuadable to our side.
Right.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I have met them throughout this whole process that they're tired of Republicans who are not keeping their promises. They're tired of liberal Republicans. And when you talk to them with reason and you talk to them about the things you want to do, they get super excited about coming to our side.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you start going around calling people names, then those same people, and I'll use my wife as the best example. My wife is as conservative.
That's cheating.
She's as conservative as they come. Yeah. She loves everything I do. When somebody starts talking in a way that is pejorative towards people, it turns her off immediately, even though she agrees with that person. And there's a lot of Republicans like that are conservative in heart, at principle, and I just choose to use words that are a little different. You know, I read this article a long time ago that talked about Reagan. And you guys are going to disagree with me here, but it said that the magic of Reagan was that he could articulate conservative principles in a moderate tone. I have always made that my mantra. Is to articulate conservative principles. Nobody has a bigger backbone or a stiffer backbone than I do. I can show you the scars from the fights that I have had with the Republican establishment in the state of Idaho. So I can't think of anyone in Idaho who has fought the establishment more than I have. I still get called a rhino all the time because I didn't yell at this person. I didn't say this to this other person. I'm like, that's not what makes you a real Republican. What makes you a real Republican is that you stand up for the principles that you espouse.
And I think I don't think we differ on. I mean, I think there's going to be personality differences in all of this,
and it could just be my personality, right?
And I don't mind someone who is softer spoken and isn't trying to light every room on fire at all. I think the concern has been though that many within the Republican Party seem for a long time have been so concerned to be so nice, so persuadable, so persuasive, whatever, and then but they're limp noodles,
and that's what you cannot have a limp noodle,
right?
And with me, you don't get that, and the reality is that I have friends who are tougher speaking than I am. And will do whatever the Speaker of the House tells them.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Fair enough.
But I'm not trying to make an argument about tone.
Yeah.
Or even
you know what I'm saying?
It's just a pet peeve. I just don't like the
and
we're talking about the same thing.
No, I think we are.
And we were not thinking of rhino in terms of being like
tone,
pejorative, and maybe we just run in different circles.
I love the guy that's like this, my friend.
I got a backbone.
No, I don't. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is exactly what you described.
Yeah, that's what I have a problem with
people who I think you would call them liberal Republicans.
Yeah,
and I think
we're fine with that.
I'm fine with that title, absolutely. But I think the problem is that the way that politicians engage and talk, even I don't care if they're screaming from the rooftop or if they're being as calm as you are. It's hard for people who are in the common culture to identify because they don't engage. People, there was a guy that we had on the show, what's his name? Our buddy talks about people, if they only took 15 minutes out of a year to vote. Joseph Backholm.
Yeah.
We don't engage with politics throughout our whole life, throughout our year. We come usually and vote, maybe we'll take
once, maybe twice if we do primaries.
Right, we don't do local politics. So people come into a situation and they say, okay, I know that guy and I can trust him. What do I do? And what I'm tired of getting is sometimes it seems that no one wants to offend the other person. Says, let me tell you something. This person doesn't have a good voting record. This person right here, if you are a conservative and you want someone who is conservative, this person is not that.
And I will say that all day long.
And that's what it sounds like you were saying with Lawrence, right? Like if you want somebody who protects the people, he's not going to be the guy that does that.
Exactly.
But I'm wondering what other people.
But did you see? I never called Lawrence a rhino. I described what he did, and I described the kind of Republican that he is, and I'm being descriptive because the people on the right that love the term, for example, they're already with me. I'm trying to convince the people that are trying to decide who to vote for. They're like, well, Lawrence has been around for 20 years. He's a nice guy, all these things. And I'm trying to convince them that, look, he's not that nice, and he's not that good, and he's not that conservative. So we need him to be over. Really, the problem that we have in politics is people who want to be liked. And there's a difference between being nice and wanting to be liked. I have fought against the President of the United States, the two speakers of the House, House against my own leadership in Idaho. To this day, the governor, the ex-governor of Idaho, will tell people that he will do whatever he can to make sure that I never get elected to any office. Yeah, because I stood up against him on the House floor. I killed his gas tax 7 times, which is one of my proudest moments. I killed his gas tax 7 times on the House floor. I was a freshman legislator. Think about that. Yeah. And he was saying, who's this SOB? Who does he think he is? Killing my stuff. So I have fought against the most powerful people in the United States, and I have usually won.
Yeah.
But I have done it with a simple style of just, I don't have to be loud or call people.
No,
names.
and let me ask this. That's not the argument I'm trying to put forth.
That's fair. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Let me just maybe ask this specific question then. Since Roe v. Wade is not law, would you just say, hey, abortion's illegal in our state?
So if Roe v. Wade is overturned?
No, Roe v. Wade is not law, right? It's just a Supreme Court decision. It's not law. Would you just ignore it?
So I wouldn't go there, but what we need to do is fight to make sure that we do whatever we can to overturn Roe v. Wade.
So why would you not go there when Roe v. Wade's not law?
It's a precedent of the Supreme Court, and that's what we follow. That's what makes it a nation of laws. And I know that you guys have a different opinion about this.
Well, Congress makes law.
Yeah. No, but
the Supreme Court doesn't.
The Supreme Court, that's why we need to overturn Roe v. Wade. And that's why I'm so excited about what's happening in the Supreme Court right now.
So, we have, I can't remember what it is, but we have some laws that could possibly come in conflict with the Supreme Court or with Congress, right? So when it comes to the Second Amendment, we have, I can't remember what it's called.
Red flag laws?
No. We're the ones like accessories, guns. I can't remember.
Well, we passed a law that said it was sort of preemptive a few years ago.
Correct.
Do you remember
2014, I believe it was.
Said basically if the federal government tries to encroach any further upon our Second Amendment rights,
we need to fight it.
We sort of hereby already
declare it doesn't work.
Charge our administration to not enforce that law.
Correct. And then also to arrest any federal agents that would come to try to enforce that law. So that's there. But so when you see that, and we already have laws on the books that are pro-life, that are amended, why wouldn't we take, if we're going to be so bold about the Second Amendment, why wouldn't we be as bold about the pro-life issue at the same time?
What I tell people about this, and I know this is hard to take for some, that we got to this point not in one fell swoop. It wasn't like we got 100%. To this point. If you look at the line of cases about abortion, they didn't start with abortion. They started with privacy concerns in marriage. That was the first time they talked about privacy. They created this doctrine out of nothing, right? This doctrine that talked about privacy that is not in the Constitution. They created that not about abortion laws, but about marriage and other issues. Then they started talking about the penumbras, right?
Yes.
And they started talking about all these different things. And none of those cases were related to abortion. Then they took it one step and one step. Yep. And eventually they're to the point that just a few years ago, Democrats were arguing that abortion would be rare, safe, and legal. Yep. Today they're arguing, Bill Clinton, remember?
Yes.
Today they're arguing that abortion should be at all cases up to the time of birth.
Right.
And the next step for them is going to be even after birth.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So we need to understand sometimes, be patient and say, look, they got here one step at a time. We need to get to where we want to go one step at a time.
So part of our
so that's
argument,
why this case is so important, because that's one further step for us to keep fighting.
So I agree with you on that, and this is just kind of a push. This has been kind of one of the arguments that we've thrown around. So I agree with you about the incrementalism and all that, and not disagreeing with you. But if you were Attorney General under slavery, would you be arguing the same thing if we just got to incrementally get out of slavery?
No, I understand. I understand the argument. I understand what you're saying. I just know that if we're going to win, we're actually winning, and maybe some people get too frustrated. I think we're winning the hearts and minds of the American people. This is one of the reasons that I think abortion and Roe v. Wade keeps getting narrowed, because people are seeing ultrasounds. They're seeing that these are babies, that are in the womb. This is not just some plasm or some
clump of cells.
This is actually a baby, and I think that's how we're going to continue to win hearts.
So
and
you
minds.
wouldn't overturn slavery in one fell swoop?
Well, I can't answer that question, you know.
Oh, that's a KBJ. That's a KBJ answer.
There might have been a red dot.
Come on, Raul.
There might have been a red dot there. I don't know.
That was good.
Before we let you go, right now in Idaho, the biggest thing facing the people of Idaho that once you get in, your first step to help represent the people well and defend the people. What is that thing?
You know, I'm at a disadvantage right now because I was saying for 4 months that the first thing I was going to do was end the state of emergency, and then 2 weeks ago the governor took my thunder. You know, he knew that I was going to win, and this is what I was going to do.
Nice.
But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ensure that the attorneys in the Attorney General's office understand what the mission is for the office. That they understand that we're not there to represent the government, that we're there to represent the people of Idaho.
Which is why we vote for you.
Exactly.
That's why we vote for you.
In fact, you know, when the Attorney General was in North Idaho talking to a group, he said, "No, I don't represent you. I represent the government." And this lady asked him, "So why are you asking for a vote?"
Yeah.
And
Boom.
the people that vote for me, they will be represented
That's
in
facts.
the Attorney General's office. And I want to ensure there's 120 to 130 attorneys in the Attorney General's office.
Wow.
And I want to ensure that they understand what the mission of the Attorney General's office is.
The last question.
Wait, hold on. Okay.
Last question. In 2020, we protested our city council's masking and social distancing mandate. We went to the city hall and sang psalms, and I was arrested. I don't know if you saw.
Yeah,
that.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
And
They should have arrested you a long time ago.
Bars. You got a stinger there for him. As Attorney General, so now I'm in a federal lawsuit with my city for the wrongful arrest and everything. As Attorney General, what would have you been able to do to help me?
It's about Gabe.
In that, it's a good question. It's a good question.
So, Gabe, these are all the things I'm going to do for you.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying, a citizen who gets in a pickle like that, where the city's against them.
I would have stood against that. In fact, if you remember Hardware Brewing.
You went to Hardware Brewing. I very much appreciated you for that, 100%.
I was there because I thought that what the state was doing was
ridiculous.
Wrong.
Yes.
I think it's ridiculous. I would have stood up for the citizens of Idaho.
Yeah.
I would have given a legal opinion about how the state doesn't have the authority to do these things.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if you guys know this, but I serve on the Central District Health Board
I know that.
In my area.
Yep.
Let me tell you, that's not something that I woke up when they say, "Oh, this is my lifelong dream to live on, to serve on the district health board."
Yeah.
I just said, look, these people are taking the rights of the people away from them.
Right.
I want to serve on that board because I want to end it. I want to end the mask mandates. I want to end the things that we're doing.
Yeah.
In fact, we're having discussions right now about ending all these stupid school mandates and all that stuff. That's why I did it, because I believe that one person can make a huge difference. And that person first needs to be either appointed or elected to make that difference. And once you're in there, you do something about it. Within 2 months of me being on that health board, we went from 7-0 for a mask mandate to 7-0 against a mask mandate.
Wow.
It's science.
In 2 months.
Yeah.
In 2 months.
Yeah.
So one person can make a difference. You guys may agree or disagree with me on some small issues.
Sure.
But what you need to understand is you need somebody with a backbone that I don't just say I want to do things. I actually have done them. You know, when I believe in the rights of the people of Idaho, I believe that they should make their decisions about vaccines. They should make their decisions about masks. They should make decisions about opening businesses, about protesting, all those things.
Yeah.
And I will always stand with the people of Idaho on those issues.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I want to say I appreciate you coming on Across Politics.
Yeah, man.
Thank
This
you.
is not an easy place to come and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And for you to expose yourself like that
Yeah.
gives you glowing remarks for me as far
I'm pretty
as
sure he's going to get elected now, because I mean, he would have
You
got
got the
elected.
cross politic bump.
I think you would have gotten the governorship if you come on the governor's
You
show.
know what?
I
That
know.
was my
I know.
mistake.
That was
Maybe that was it.
Can I ask one favor though? If you get elected, would you do me a favor? Like you're gonna do Gabe.
Man, it's a long list.
I know.
You're writing the wrong list.
I know.
Yeah.
So Winsome Sears, when she got elected in Virginia, it was really amazing.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. She
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I saw happening there, I think that we really need, on her Instagram, she educates her people about the bills. She educates her people about what's going on. And it's hard for common folks that are not on social media to know. I would love it if an attorney general would educate the people and bring them into what's happening more on a public stage so that we can say, oh, you need us? we got you. Yeah. Oh, we didn't know about this because the liberals do a great job of using emotional arguments to move us, and we don't always know the facts. We don't know what's in the bill. We don't know what the situation is, and so we don't just need somebody to stand up for us. We need somebody who educates the people about what's going on in their own state. And so I would really,
I can promise you, I'll do that. I used to do the most town halls when I was a member of Congress. I used to do, and I want to continue. I love talking to people, and as you can tell, I like answering questions.
Yeah, we appreciate
some
that very much.
Even when they're hard.
Some of them.
I just didn't like my answer.
That's true. I didn't like some of them. That is true.
That's right. You were wrong. You can't always be right.
And neither. Okay, all right. See, I like you. That's really. What's the website?
Labrador2022.com.
2022.
And it's
May 17th, or you can vote earlier, starting in a week, I believe.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what to do if you're in Idaho.
Come on.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Yeah, we really appreciate you, Raul. Thank you.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week.
That's right.
Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic. Sure you don't write a few names down there of liberal Republicans? Did I say it right? What if I say it real soft? Liberal Republicans. Is that better? Okay.
When tyrants take over, what's the first thing they do? Disarm. It happened in Russia, China, Germany, and most recently, Afghanistan. Why? Because disarmed people are easier to control. And over the last century and a half, American tyrants have been carrying out a slow, methodical disarmament that no one is talking about. State education. Tyrants know that education is warfare. Our rulers have a vested interest in making you totally harmless. They've got big plans and they don't want you getting in the way. Think about it. Would you rather fight an army decked out with high-powered rifles or a bunch of dinky water pistols? They know that if you can think critically, you're a threat. At New St. Andrews College, we want to graduate men and women who are dangerous. Dangerous to the world, dangerous to the principalities and powers, dangerous to spiritual wickedness in high places. Education can either arm you or disarm you. It can make you a threat or make you a useful idiot. So, where you get that education counts. Click the link to apply to New St. Andrews College today.